Hello everyone and welcome tonight to 3 Wide TV for the Ram Racing Concepts 115 at Summit Point for round 3 of the 2024A OSCA Weekend Woodsman Series Chase-Offs. I'm Nathaniel Cherry, alongside me are Trevor McNeil and Carlos Acosta for tonight's broadcast. Trevor, it's your first time broadcasting some OSCA Chase-Offs. What are you looking forward to the most?
Man, I'm excited to see how this really changes the relationships that these drivers have, because obviously you're laying it all out on the line. You know, we're racing for something here in these chase-offs where there's just that little extra amount of validity and meaning to these races. And, you know, I was here for Suzuka in that third race to start this one out. Haven't been here for a road course since. So I'm curious to see what the extra added element of pressure and this extra weight of this race is going to change the dynamic of this one, because I feel like there's a lot of chips on these shoulders of these drivers.
Definitely, for sure. Before we talk more about the race tonight, we'll look at the chase standings going into tonight's event. Awesome Beers now has a 19-point lead over Ryan Gavel, and then it's another, well, math's hard, 22 points back to Vincent Isabella. So it's really becoming a 3-horse race, or even a 2-horse race, because after that, you're running out of time for the rest of these drivers to pull in that gap. Over on the team side, it's still Shifty Sports holding up front, but their gap continues to be less than 100 points to Do Good and South Shore. So one good night for either of those teams and a bad night for Shift. We could really see the standings there change quite a bit. But yeah, going into tonight, you're talking about how you're here for Suzuka. I think there's going to be a lot more passing tonight. This track does not really become a single file carousel as much as Suzuka does. And we have a sprint race here to start out, so they're going to be going balls to the walls just to start right away.
Yeah, similar storyline I'm expecting to see come out of this one that we saw in Suzuka was that tire wear. We saw some early pit strategies coming out of in that race initially. Of course, you know, being a little bit longer, these drivers having time on the track. So with that going in, tire wear is going to be something that we'll see in this first half. Obviously, with that sprint format, not looking for fuel to be a problem, but tire wear is going to be a big factor in this one. And if we get a lot of passing, going to have a lot of dynamic activity on the track, a lot of chance for cautions, and I'm very curious to see not only the different individual driver strategies but also team strategies, to see, like you mentioned, with just how close some of those drivers or the team standings are. You know, how much of it are they going to put into that for importance?
Yeah, there's 2 championships to be won. The team's one is just as important to some of these drivers as the driver's one is. And also another thing, I don't know how many people watching the broadcast tonight have driven this track on the sim, but it's one of those tracks where you got to be careful if you go off track, because it's not really scanned for too much runoff. You can actually find yourself in the pit road area if you just go over any of those humps that we're seeing as we're watching Zach Evans right now. You're going to be going into oblivion, so that's something the drivers have to be careful of.
Yeah,
all right.
Keeping track of these ones. Just keeping track of that, like, you know, staying within the white lines. Obviously, within practice, we see a lot of them jumping up the shoulders, and you know what that is going to do for these drivers, of, you know, how they're going to be able to actually maneuver around this one. And with the passing lanes you have, I mean, I think this is going to be a very exciting race.
Very exciting indeed. But what else is exciting is that Trevor gets to make his first pick in the Biggs Designs Broadcaster Championship for the first time in a long time. Carlos, can we pull up the standings here?
Yeah, it's been a while too. I don't think I've made picks in at least a month or so, but the score reflects that. It's been a while since I've thrown my name in the ring. Been busy with real world stuff. I guess having a job is important or whatever. You pay bills. I don't know.
Yeah, crazy. All right, but also our job here, before we let you make your pick, we have to shout out Biggs Designs. So Biggs Designs is a local New Jersey graphic design company that specializes in all of your custom apparel and tumbler needs. You can check out their website at biggsdesigns.myshopify.com or at the link in the description. Trevor, you are up for the first pick.
My favorite part about Biggs Designs existing is that gave me just enough time to review the entry list. And I don't even have to review it, because I actually put all the numbers of the drivers I haven't selected yet into a random wheel generator to randomly select it on the wheel. And I got the 27 first. That was the first one that hit. So I don't know. That's not going to do a lot for me, I don't think, in this race. But you know what? I'm sticking to it.
You're going to do better than Bayou. That's for sure.
That is a pick. I don't know that I would make that pick.
I didn't do it.
It just blew his engine. He just blew the engine.
Oh boy. Commentator's curse strikes super early.
All right. Cherry, who you got?
I'm going to take the 17 of James Miller.
Of course you are.
What? Huh?
Totally didn't have that one. Carlos, who you got?
Well, I'm glad to know that Nathaniel Cherry is a fan of feet because James Miller is once again providing us with the feet cam. I turned off the camera.
God.
Whoops, I ruined my joke. There's the feet camera. But I'm going to go ahead and make a nice, safe pick. I'm going to pick Daniel Gordon at number 52.
That's a good pick. Good pick.
So the drivers are oddly unanimous on this one, who they want for half one. They, of course, want the 29 of Cameron Ridge.
It's a bad
Kind
pick.
of sucks, because admittedly, that was who I was going to pick. But it's fine. Because I have a backup. I have a backup plan here. I'm going to pick the one of Ryan Gable. For half one.
That's a good
And
pick as well.
as far as who Goody wants, he sent me his picks, and he says in this order he wanted 29, 20, 99. 99 is the only person of those two that he can pick in half one, so he's going to get the 99 of Gilberto.
The emotional support pick.
Yeah.
Still have 4 minutes left in qualifying, so before we wrap it up and head to the starting grid, we have a video from our sponsor, Weekend Woodsmen. You can make sure you can check out their YouTube link in the description.
Be sure to check out Tim Mayo Conrad and the Weekend Woodsman crew on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like button to get notifications when a new video drops, and check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Enjoy the race.
Back.
And once again, a big thank you to Weekend Woodsmen for everything they do for the series. I mention this every week, but if you were unaware, we are looking for a new title sponsor for OSCA next season. Weekend Woodsmen decided to move aside, help OSCA maybe potentially find some new partners going forward. So if you're interested in that, make sure you contact Vic Bloom or any of the other members of the admin team, and they'll set you up. Just wrapping up qualifying, and look at what we have in the bottom right there, Trevor.
It's the heart rate. That's what I'm looking at, right?
Yeah, the heart rate.
Definitely got my heart rate going.
Nothing else to see there.
Carlos?
Huh?
What'd you just say, Carlos?
Got my heart rate going.
Oh no. You can't say that on TV.
I can't nice not say that.
We can't.
2024. All right, calm down.
Oh man. That's a design choice. That is a decision made to don that apparel.
I did not notice the cufflinks until right now. That kind of took me off.
Oh no.
So there's a story behind this.
Yeah.
There's a story behind this, and
Kind
it
of
all
wearing a
has to
headpiece
do.
too?
Yes, he is.
Oh,
It's
no.
a full made outfit.
The whole thing. Okay.
The whole thing.
Christ.
Ask him to stand up later.
The story behind this is simply the fact that Kynan said to me and Tim, if you guys bought me a maid outfit, I'd wear it. So Tim was like, all right. He did.
All right, bet.
Kynan only has himself to blame for this. There's
No, fair enough. It's not on their bank history. It's on Tim's. So you know.
Exactly.
Listen, joke's on you guys. He got a free maid outfit, okay?
That's true.
Yeah, you could probably sell that and get a decent amount of money.
Gently used. Yeah.
Gently used is wild.
That's
With that heart rate?
man.
You know, actually, this is the lowest heart rate I've seen for kind of when he's been driving. So maybe he's
Extra
Definitely
cooling.
going up though. Yeah. Like those cufflinks. I can't believe this. Wow. Yeah, I commend man of your word, I guess. I mean, if you said you were gonna do it, then you do it. Can't be mad at it.
Just 40 more seconds here, then we'll see where everyone will start for tonight's event. Cameron Rich looks like he's got pole locked up with 5/10 left, but as Carlos mentioned, Cam is... Actually, did you mention it while we were off air, or was that on air?
I mentioned it while we were off. But we can mention it. It's not a secret. Cam is unfortunately on call tonight. So at any point in half one and half two, he could potentially have to pull off the track for a while.
So we'll have to keep an eye on that. So the only driver that we know for sure is finishing the whole race in the front row right now would be Daniel Gore, who is filling in for the suspended Jake Scarb. Ryan Gavel right now is the highest of the chase drivers. This could be a good night for him to possibly make up some points on Awesome Beers. A couple times we've had Awesome Beers up in the booth so far tonight. So far in the chase offs, he's mentioned that this was the track he was worried about the most, just trying to get anything he could out of it. He's down in 18th right now, I believe, and Gavel's up in 3rd place. But we do have the starting grid right about now.
Fortunately, it's not working right now, so we're just going to go back to the traditional format.
That works
No
as
harm,
well.
no
All
foul.
right.
Always good to have that up there.
Starting up at the front row there, we have Cameron Rich alongside Daniel Gore. In 3rd place, Ryan Gavel. And 4th, James Watson. Down in the 3rd row, have James Miller and Drew Eisenman. Zach Rogers, Ray Bracey, Kynan Jones, and Tyler McIntosh round out your top 10. And then 11th and 12th sees Dylan Thomas and Matt Hackathorn. Trevor, I'll let you take it away here for the rest of it.
Yeah, moving on to page number 2 out of that one. I mean, you look at some of these drivers up here, as you mentioned, with Ryan Gavel trying to make up some points out of that one. Looking forward to what the opportunity is going to be. But you mentioned 11, 12 right there. 13th, you got Gilberto Javier Gomera alongside Thomas Capuano. 15th, Zach Evans, Caden Tufts. There in 16th, Neil Rutt 17th. Austin Beers, you mentioned, concerned about this track, starting out 18th. Wester Green in 19th, and Peeler, after blowing that motor, starting out in 20th.
So only 20 cars sitting a lap. I know we had 26 on the entry list. Are we down to 20 for the actual race here, Carlos?
I guess. I don't control the weather. So, yeah, it looks like that is the case tonight.
So a shorter field tonight. We'll see how the drivers are able to take advantage of that. For Austin Beers is a bit of a break because it limits the amount of points that Ryan Gavel could gain on him.
Yep. Not a whole lot of change we saw in the standings over the last couple of weeks. A couple of drivers moving up 1 or 2 spots in exchange, drivers moving down 1 or 2 spots. That number 1 to number 2 lead did increase a little bit. I think it went from like 13 to 20 points. So small changes here and there, but opportunity, like you said, with Ryan Gavel to be able to make up some of that lost ground, especially starting up there towards the front, hopefully sticking out in that position for the duration of this sprint and being able to cash in on an opportunity.
So we'll have 1 full pace lap here. So we'll be a couple of minutes here before we actually do get going. You can see on the left-hand side of your screen, all the drivers in green are drivers participating in the chase-offs. So the lowest one being our current points leader, Austin Beers, down in, I believe he's actually 18th. And then Ryan Gavel, as we've mentioned, up in 3rd. Yeah, so the sprint race here, they don't need to pit for fuel, as you mentioned, Trevor, but the tire wear could become a factor. Will it become a factor enough where someone maybe tries to make this a 2-stop race and make up some lost ground?
I think we'll be able to get a good taste of that one here in the first few laps based off of how aggressive these drivers are. If they're going to be really heavy on the corners, heavy on the accelerator, trying to maybe make some distance between themselves and the rest of the pack for those drivers up front or the drivers in the middle of the pack, how aggressive are they going to be to trying to get through traffic? And those first few laps, based off that level of aggression, maybe we'll see some early cautions or something like that. We'll see some of those takers try to extend this into a multi-stop race where they can maybe find some level of opportunity to get more ground made up. And then you'll see those risk takers that think that they don't need that. They'll stay on the tires that they have and just outright stay on the track so they can just hold on to that position and hope it's enough. We saw something similar out of Suzuka where there were some drivers early on that made those stops. Others that decided to stay out. They got a 10, 15 second lead and just hoped it was enough to hold on.
Well, we're about to find out how aggressive they're going to be right off the start here. We just have one more kind of snaking straightaway before we get onto the front straightaway, and the iRacing pace truck will pull off for this one. Cameron Rich, will he be able to finish the whole race? How far ahead is he going to get? Will Daniel Gore also play spoiler tonight, or is Ryan Gavel going to take full advantage tonight? Just one more corner here before the pace truck pulls off. The pace truck is pulling off into the pits now. Field is under control of Cameron Rich, but he does have to wait until the green flag. Waiting. It's a long straightaway here. And I think we are green now. Yes, Cameron Rich is away here.
There's the flag.
And Daniel Gore gets a good start along the outside of him here. And
Great
Daniel Gore's
start.
actually going to have a chance to potentially take the lead here into turn 1.
Yeah, we'll see how they dive into this in the corner and Not too surprising to see Ridge take that one. A little cross up. There's a little bit of contact there as they're trying to go through this one relatively clean and start to see a little bit of that aggression very early on. Thought we might wait a couple of laps. It looks like we're going to do it lap 1.
And Gilberto Javier Gamero almost hitting the cruise stand there. Luckily, nobody was hurt. And we have mostly single file pretty early here. We'll see how long that lasts, though.
Yeah,
Couple nice shots.
Yeah, feeling the grooves of each other. See how we're going to drive this one out. See what the drivers are feeling. If anyone's feeling a little frisky early on, but try to get comfortable with this one and driving at pace.
See how long Cameron Rich is able to just keep Daniel Gore right where he wants him before Daniel Gore makes a move. Where Rich is going to be about trying to conserve those tires while you're up front, because he's not one of those drivers that needs to also gain track position. A couple of beautiful camera angles you have here tonight, I will say, Carlos.
Thank you.
That's
I like to
good.
call them iRacing defaults.
Wow.
Oh, battle for the
And
lead.
Daniel Gore
Ooh.
is making a move for first place right into turn 1, and it was not long that Cameron Rich could just hold Daniel Gore at bay. Daniel Gore has nothing to lose. He's just filling in for a suspended driver, and he moves right into first place. And now Ryan Gavel might be looking at a move on Cameron Rich as well.
Yeah, Rich. It might be something to go off of that early contact. If there's anything that might be messing with them. Looked a little bit off pace going through those first couple of corners, but Gore made full opportunity and took full advantage of that first corner. Obviously, we saw it there on that initial start and finally got the cross up there on the second time going into that first turn. Now you see roles reverse where the 52 up front with Ridge chasing, trying to find an opportunity potentially to take that lead back, but you do have that red 1 sitting in your rearview mirror.
And also James Miller on right behind him as well, so it's becoming a Daniel Gore pull away fest, and now we have a 3-car battle for second.
Mentioned that 17 back there all over the back bumper. Ryan Gavel trying to find the angle of getting the pass on that one. Starting to spread out a little bit here towards the latter half of the lap, but once they do cross that line, looking for opportunity again here going to this first corner, and this is where I'm expecting to see a lot of people looking for opportunity to have some overtakes in that one, depending on how hard they drive it into that, which alternatively also means someone will probably overshoot that corner at some point.
I think definitely once we get into the second half for sure, where you're guaranteed to see a pit stop and you have people on cold tires, they're going to forget what it's like on the initial start, because right now they aren't really at full speed going to turn 1. I think that's where you're most likely going to see a potential wreck into turn 1. It looks like Gilberto has called it quits for half number 1. Do we potentially have a replay on what happened there, Carlos?
Maybe. Let's see.
I'd be curious to see what happened out of that first one, or out of that incident.
Oh,
Just
Oh,
lost it.
yeah, right there.
blocked too much of the gas, slammed into a chain link fence, and I guess it just really messed up the right front of that car.
Oh yeah. That not great. He maybe clipped the shoulder, grass on the.
It just looks like he gave it too
Not
much.
just,
and
yeah, too much beans.
Went around. Yep.
Hackathorn
Unfortunate. That's a
going
rough
down
part
Pear
of the
Road.
track, too.
Which car? Sorry.
Hackathorn.
Hackathorn?
Oh, no. Sorry. He's just having some connection issues.
Ah,
Okay.
okay.
See Austin Beers making a move on Howard McIntosh. So Beers doing a pretty good job. You mentioned being worried about his pace, but he's almost up into the top 10 here. Up into 11th place now. So maybe it was just that one lap pace that really wasn't as strong from our championship protagonist right now. And Cameron Rich is all of a sudden right back on the front of, back over the rear bumper, Daniel Gore, and Thomas Capuano is backwards in traffic.
Well, going reverse, but going the right way is still technically going the right way, so I guess it counts. Interesting to see how he got turned around out of that one, but you mentioned Beers moving up through traffic, starting in 18th all the way up, getting close to that top 10, and maybe it is just that single lap pace that just didn't do very well for you. See the replay
There's the
here,
replay.
see what happened.
Around the
21.
grass.
The grass.
Yep. Got the grass, send it around.
Good job by everyone to avoid that, especially Caden Tufts there. Almost was looking right at him. Probably could have waved at him through the windshield, but he's able to avoid it.
Yeah, good jobs all around for everyone to keep that one clean.
And look at this battle for the lead now.
Yeah. 4 cars up there. You got an overtake happening on the front stretch as well, going into this corner. Kine and Jones getting passed up there by Ray Bracey.
One thing I noticed from the top there, the battle for the lead, is Cameron Rich was the only one that was really using all the track going into the corner. So he is maximizing these fresh tires for as long as he can.
Yep, certainly not letting Gore get away very easily. And of course, right behind Gavel and Miller is holding on to the position, locked onto the bumpers, and keeping these leaders in sight as well. Waiting for a prime opportunity to strike, looking for a mistake one of these drivers to make going into a corner. We've already seen a few people clipping the grass already, so wouldn't be surprised at all if all of a sudden you see something like that happen, where someone just gets a little bit too far outside, loses a little bit of traction, gets spun around.
Especially up here in this battle for the lead, where 3 of the 4 drivers really don't have anything to race for at this point.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that Gavel should be just a bit more cautious out there. Those drivers will be a bit more willing to use the fenders to try and get a result here. See Cameron Rich is
Looking for
snaking
it.
around all over the back of Daniel Gore, trying to find any weakness going into the corner there. But Gore's able to hang on for now.
Some good speed out of that corner, was able to hold off and get a little bit of distance there on Ryan Gavel in that 1 car, but those 2 are just really duking it out up here, trying to find this one. Rich is looking for any angle, any opportunity he can, try to go high, go low, cross him over in the turn, see if he can get the nose underneath, but can't quite get it, just gets to the back bumper. Gore's holding on.
One thing that could potentially come into play at some point in this race or the next one is the one shot that we have of all those drivers going off into the gravel pit on the runoff. If they go too far, I'm pretty sure iRacing does give you a slowdown, so they need to be a bit careful about that, because that would be a horrible way to lose the lead of a race late on.
Yeah, it's just one of those small mistakes you could make that could really cost you at the end of it.
Cameron Rich
You
has
can't
enough for a
come back
run.
from.
It's like not this time either. Gore's going to be able to hang on to the lead. But I think it's only a matter of time before Rich decides, you know, I'm just going to give you a move, and it was
Ooh.
almost right there.
That's the difference there between where your position's at. Gore right there, checking rearview mirror, just making sure that Rich doesn't completely run him over going into the corner. On the other side, it's Cameron Rich with the full control over the situation, where he can make Gore hold on to the gas a little bit longer than he really needs to going into that first turn. So very interesting power dynamic and a power battle that these 2 have going on up here. Rich is really hunting for this outside line, trying to make it work, and it's not going to.
That's going to open the door for Ryan Gavel to move up to P2. We'll see if he has anything for Daniel Gore, but maybe Cameron Rich just trying a bit too hard here. Might be time to settle down and try and cool those tires down a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to mess those tires up a lot. You see already losing a little bit of grip on that one. But yeah, I was just trying to find anything. Inside, outside, crossovers. Feel a
Just
little
lock
bit of
them up
lock
a little
up.
bit.
Yep. Send it out. Once you lock it up, that's it. Hard to recover out of that one. And just hope that nobody clips you on the side going by.
Luckily, he's still up in 3rd place, so he's still a part of this battle for the lead, but Daniel Gore can probably breathe a little bit easier now. See, riding along with James Miller, see if he's going to try and make a move on the 29 of Cameron Rich as well. As Carlos is trying to make the joke earlier, the foot cam there, you can see the throttle braking, clutch inputs.
Usually you have to pay for that.
Yeah, we get it for free. Actually, we're gonna. I think technically.
Who says I'm not paying for it?
Oh, never mind.
Oh.
Carlos is paying for it.
It's a
But it's a lot more
subscription-based
fascinating.
phone.
It's a lot more fascinating on a road course than it is on an oval for sure.
Yeah, a lot of pedal action, using both sides.
Looks like here he's maybe starting to lose just a little bit of a hold on the 2 cars in front of him. We'll see if this is just a bit of the ebb and flow of the race, or if this is actually just Gavel and Rich starting to find another gear.
Alternatively, could just be trying to lay off, just knowing how these cars in front of him are handling. I mean, Miller's been watching the back bumpers the entire time and knows, you know, where these cars in front theoretically would be better or worse during their lap times, during the corners in the track. So could be just a strategic play to preserve the car.
And that time going to the braking zone, both Gavel and Rich really close in on Gore. So I'm not sure if Gore is intentionally letting them get back a bit closer because he's taking advantage of that little second he had to save some tires, or as you mentioned, maybe his car's just handling a bit worse now.
On the other side of that conversation too, I mean, Miller's looking at everything in front, has nothing to worry about behind. There's another 4.5, 5 seconds between him and Watson in 5th place. So it really is just these 4 cars up front right now, just playing the game of who's going to make the mistakes. We've already seen that one mistake by the 29, but everybody else is just playing this one. That's a pretty big hit on that curb right there. But as you mentioned, you got to watch how tight you're taking these corners, because not only is it potentially something that's going to give you a slowdown, but also maybe a little suspension wear and tear.
That's not something you want to deal with, especially when we get into the second half, which is a bit longer. Trying to look at the scoreboard for any potential battles. How close is Rogers to the 9 of James Watson for 5th place? I guess would be the only real other battle that I'm seeing right now.
A few car lengths, I'd imagine.
You see it on the bottom left here. You have the 3-wide TV multicam. Also, Eisenman and Barisi involved in that battle. Kind of similar to the battle we have up front, just 4 cars under a blanket.
Yeah, just kind of playing it out, watching each other, looking to see where these lines are that are working and who's going to be using so much of the track or all the track and then some. A little bit going off there into the gravel a little bit, but these drivers just holding on out of this first race, you know, with the first sprint format, 13 laps to go. And that race in the bottom is getting a little squirrely. That 9 car, Watson, is using every inch of it. And I don't know if that's on purpose.
Wonder if his tires have just gone a bit quicker than he was hoping.
Yeah.
Almost halfway through this sprint, and Cameron Rich is making a move back into 2nd place right now. Gavel had been a bit over the track, all over the track, last couple of laps, and Cameron Rich
Might
took
leave it over
advantage
for
of it.
Miller too.
And James Miller, as you mentioned, is side by side with him now, and he's going to have the advantageous line going into turn 1.
See who's going to bite first on the brake pedal, and playing smart there for Gavel. Obviously racing for points, preserve the car, don't do anything too crazy. Just keep it in one piece for the time being, play for placement, and knowing that your main competitor, the points leader right now, Boston Beers, still sitting in 11th place. They're still making up some ground on that. Beers is closing the gap there on Thomas in 10th to crack into that top 10. So there is something at least Beers is doing to make up some of the ground and not really lose too much out of this one in this first half, assuming standings stay the way that they do. But still, Ryan Gavel got to be smart about this.
Gavel, you have to look at the whole night. You're not going to make up 18 points in one half or 19 points in one half. But if you can make up, well, we get a bit sideways there. If you can make up 6 in both halves, that's 12, and then all of a sudden go into the final 4 races of the season, you're right within striking distance. You're a win away from taking the lead. Looks like the top 4 is starting to become a bit more spread out. Tire wear really starting to show its power in this one right now. And also with the bottom left, you're mentioning Austin Beers right on the back end of the 13 of Dylan Thomas.
Really been battling through traffic and even driving through a lot of open lane, because when he was able to take that 11th place, there was a 3 or 4 second split between him and the top 10. So really was able to run down that 10th place car in Dylan Thomas this time around. And then there's another 3 seconds after that before the next one up, and that's kind of Jones. So pick them off one at a time. Austin Beers doing his best to get into a better placement of positioning, but you mentioned with that tire wear coming in, that's going to start to change things up a little bit. At least here, see, as you mentioned, top 4 spacing out a little bit. That's what's going to be. It's going to get interesting for some of these drivers that are trying to find something.
Also saw Zach Rogers go really wide on that one runoff and allowed Eisenman and Racy to work their way through. That's also going to give James Watson a bit of breathing space. But Cameron Rich is right back on the back end of Daniel Gore. Will he be able to make the pass this time? Last time he had an opportunity, he went to the outside, got a bit of wheel spin, or lockup, I guess it is. Sent him off track, but see if he makes that same mistake twice. I doubt we're going to see Cameron Rich make the same mistake 2 times in a row.
Yeah, still, I mean, looking for any angle, trying all over the track, maybe potentially playing the mind games up front of, am I going to go high or low? It does get right up to that back bumper of Gore. Doesn't psych him out this time around. Gore able to hold on through that corner, maintain that speed, and does get some decent distance out of this one. Put up half a second, 3-4 car lengths out of this coming around in the bends. But this tire wear is going to be what really piques my curiosity from these guys, because we are starting to see a little bit more sliding on this one, especially when you start to see like Cameron Rich driving in so aggressively. I mean, I commend it. I like it, but I feel like it's only a matter of time before it's just a little too aggressive and you just completely lose the back end.
I guess for drivers like Cameron Rich and Daniel Gore, like I mentioned earlier, they don't really have anything to play for other than a win, so might as well just full send and see what happens. Also, while this has been going on, Austin Beers did move up into 10th place, so championship leader now in the top 10. And we do have a 16-car invert tonight, so that's also something to look at. Tyler McIntosh currently would have the pole for half number 2. Looking at Ray Racy and Drew Eisman in a battle there for 6th place. Zach Rogers also still lurking around.
Yeah, just under 3/4 of a second separating the 3 of those cars. You see them in frame. And then right in front of them, another second up, is the next driver. But watching each other play this one out, waiting for someone to potentially slide out. See the 77 gets a little wiggle out of there, but doesn't get too much, too crazy. 29 still hunting on that back bumper of Gore. They've opened up the gap between themselves and Miller and Gavel now, who 3rd and 4th have fallen off a little bit, but that 1-2 punch is still really fighting for that position.
Yeah, I feel like that's not going to change at all throughout the rest of the night. It's going to be about which one of these two makes the first big mistake.
Might not even take a big mistake. It might even be just a small one that does just enough. One missed entry on a corner.
We did see that from Rich earlier. He didn't able to recover from it. But he is all over the back bumper floor. He might have a run this time.
Really good corner going through right there, but waiting to see if it's going to be something that you can find on this one. Let's lose half a car length here on the stretch. Gets back up to the bumper, but every time you get to that bumper coming out of this one, always seems to lose that pace coming right back out. Gore holds on.
The only potential good news right now for Rich is that he is forcing Gore to not drive his preferred line. He's sticking to the right side there. He's trying to defend that potential dive bomb, so Gore is well aware of Cameron Rich's presence, and that could increase the chance of making a mistake.
Yeah, that's not just applicable to going into that first corner, like I mentioned, with Gore watching that rear view mirror and basically driving out of that. That's the unfortunate part, is that you have to continue to watch to see where Rich is going, and it might make it that much more prone for you to make a mistake, as Rich almost had the opportunity there, put the bumper to bumper, but they both survive.
Potentially interesting here. I'm not sure if McIntosh has damage or not, but he has gone to the pit, so this maybe could be our first time seeing what new tires really do if you do try and split this race in half. I don't know if anybody else is going to do it, but we'll see what he can do. He was running all the way down at 16th anyway, so we'll see where he finishes up with that tire soon. Rich once again looking to the outside, Gore going down to turn 1, but Gore's going to block it off and hang on to the lead. 7 laps to go now.
Yeah, Beers took that spot out of 10th place as well. It hasn't done a whole lot to clear or extend that any further, so still holding on to that number 10, but it's just only a 10th or 2 ahead of Dylan Thomas there in the 11th position, trying to hold out and maintain some points out of this top 10. That's probably a
slowdown for Cameron.
Nope, nothing.
Nothing.
Interesting.
Wow. Maybe iRacing changed.
Testing the limits. And that's exactly like you were talking about. These guys got nothing to lose. Let's see how far we can go off the track.
Yeah, I don't think that was intentional. I think that might have been a bit of a bit of a slide that he was not wanting, especially for his tires at this point in the event.
Oh, there he goes.
Around the outside here. Oh, he's drifting. He keeps it out of the wall.
Wow.
He's going to have 7 laps to try and make up a second and a half here once it stabilizes. So the outside does not work. Cameron Rich has now learned that. Sick of underlook here.
Yeah. really drove it in, tried to maintain, get up there, get in the speed through the S's, and unfortunately just a little too much.
It
Too much
almost looked
sauce.
It almost looked like he got arrow loose as well around the outside. It
Yeah.
seemed like it just really popped out of nowhere for him. But he's not out of this one yet, that's for sure.
Nope. Doesn't lose position, still holds on to number 2, but you mentioned just lost the interval. That's the only thing that really happened out of that one. Doesn't have to really worry about Miller sitting behind. Gabble is no longer even close to a part of this conversation, racing for the top 3 anymore. Is now just hoping to hold on to a top 5 position.
Yeah, that's a good shout there, because Gavel's actually been losing time to James Watson, it looks like, because Watson's now within 2.5 seconds of him.
Yeah.
You look there at the intervals from the last lap, so that cost Cameron Rich 9/10 of a second. As well, James Miller, with all this battling, actually gained on the leaders that last time by.
Austin Beers gaining on that number 9 spot as well, down to a couple of seconds with Kynan Jones. It was about 4 to 5 seconds there on the initial take.
I'm wondering if Rich is driving a little angry at himself, but he's already back within 7/10 here after just one lap.
Yeah, and that might be going back to the thing of driving your own line, playing a little comfortable, not having to weave all over the place, trying to fake out where Gore or where he's going to go on this one, but let's get it down very quickly. A lap and a half and cut down that time.
He's right back on the rear bumper of the 52. Daniel Gore did not have much time to not have to worry about it. See Austin Beers, he's still having to defend from Dylan Thomas there. Thomas would like to get a top 10. Thomas is another chase-off guy. He's not going to have a chance to win the championship more than likely at this point, but every point matters. You want to finish as high up as you can.
And I'm sure Kynan is very appreciative of that battle going on, knowing that Beers doesn't have the opportunity to really focus on driving it in to get up to that 9th position, is having to defend Dylan Thomas on that back bumper, but still holding on. See those 4 drivers in a row, Jones, Beers, Thomas, and Hackathorn, just from that 9th through 12th, obviously looking for the most points you could possibly get out of this one. I think Hackathorn might have been one of the drivers that did move positions from 2 weeks ago to this week or last week, but like I said, not a whole lot of change in the standings overall.
Once again, we just have those those 2 battles at this point. There might be another battle forming for 4th place in a couple of moments here, because now that gap is down to almost just a second between Gavel and Watson. Gavel's going to be desperately trying to hang on to that position to gain as many points as he can. And Cameron Rich, once again, getting a better entry than the 52. The 52 will drive away here off of turn 1. But maybe not so much as I'm Caden Tufts.
Okay.
Going for a little bit of a drift. Hangs on. And while this is who is that? Neil Rutt going on?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. While this is happening, by the way, 10th place has changed twice, so they were side by side, and they might change again. Dylan Thomas almost hops the curb into Beers. Yeah, so that battle's not over yet either.
In your pursuit
really
of knowledge
undefended.
of just
Oh,
how
man.
much is too much, both of those drivers, Caden Thomas and Neil Rott, got furled black flags.
Does not surprise me with the
No.
adventurous lines they were taking.
Getting a little too creative on that one.
Ryan Gavel now only has about 7/10 of a second in between him and Watson at some points. Caden Tufts still all over the road. Almost went to oblivion there. He was able to hang on to her.
All over the road and the grass. The landscaping crew not going to be too happy with the double zeros.
Doing his best Valtteri Bottas impression from the Austrian Grand Prix a couple of years ago. Cameron Rich almost on the outside of Gore going into turn 1 that time by. 3 more laps for him to try and make this move.
Again, close that gap down. Just a few car lengths here, depending on position in the track. Still trying to explore every lane possible. I'm sure Gore doing a lot of rear view mirror driving. 66, new rut again. I'm sure after you lost it, those tires have shot.
Yeah, it looks like he kissed the tire barrier there. We'll see if he's able to finish this one out or if he's just going to pull it into the pits.
A tough break there for Rutt. Another one of our chase-off drivers.
Neil Rutt on pit road.
The pits. Yep. Unfortunate break for the 66 there.
we're going to be coming up to 2 laps to go here. Will Daniel Gore be able to hang on? He has extended a little bit on his lead to Rich this time by, but on down towards turn 1, that's where Cameron Rich is going to have his best chance to make a move. Will he get a bit audacious and maybe use the bumper a little bit? Maybe not this time, but next time.
Yeah, interesting right there between that top spot, between those two. Next one is the one that we're looking at on the top side of the screen right there, James Watson and Ryan Gabble. Watson has closed the gap, or rather Gabble's fallen so far back that the 9 is now on his back bumper, looking to make a pass and knock Gabble down to a top 5 position in this one. Gabble's losing every point possible out of this, unfortunately, just trying to hold on. I think at this point now you're just hoping to finish out in 4th.
Yeah, and Gabble's not careful, getting a bit too aggressive on the defense here. Ray Bracey's right there as well, so he could fall outside of the top 5 even. And Cameron Rich is going to be on the inside of Daniel Gore here. They're side by side. Gore has the preferred line at the moment. Rich is going to be forced to cut back and gets a bit loose.
Yep.
But Gore's also drifting a little bit.
Yeah, both of them are not having the best of time with the grip and the traction that they have on this. And still a whole nother lap to go out of this, waiting for another opportunity. And you know Rich is just going to be driving it in the whole time, trying to make up that ground, try to force Gore to make a mistake.
And Rich is going to get a bit wide. Oh, I thought he was going to. He was super sideways. This is the closest he's been on the front straightaway, though. Gore did use his shoulders a little bit there. He got the elbows out. We'll see if Cameron Rich will repay the favor. Almost makes contact there. Wow. He thought about it, that's for sure.
Yeah, gunned it all the way into the corner. Losing the speed on this one, and now we'll see if they can get back up. Rich is going to be able to make some ground here in these corners. Either one of them have very good grip, though. It's only a matter of time.
The dangerous thing right now for Gore is that he's going to be probably not thinking about his race and thinking about where Cameron Rich is behind him. Mm-hmm. And here's another chance for Rich. Gore is defending that inside. Rich goes a bit wide.
Blocked the whole lane, the whole track all the way through that corner. Does not give Rich any opportunity. Forces Rich to get on the gas, get on the throttle, kick the back end out just enough that can't get anything going. Gore holds on and even extends the lead going through these corners.
I think that's probably going to be our last passing opportunity we see. So Daniel Gore, some excellent defense in this one. Just needs to nurse it home through one last corner here. Rich tried it. He tried. He was almost there. And Daniel Gore is going to hang on, and he's going to win half number 1 here tonight at Summit Point.
Yeah, great driving there between those top 2 cars and being able to back and forth on both sides. And, you know, we talk about the offense and the defense at the front. This is the next one that's battled up. That's Gabble trying to hold on to 4th place. Watson
going to get it. It's
knocking on
tight.
The door.
Gabble gets it. Just barely hanging on for 4th place.
Oh,
Ray Bracey's...
Hello? In the tree.
Ray Bracey hit a tree. And also, Austin Beers, he moved up to 9th in the late goings of that one. He got past Kynan Jones.
No, he didn't.
That was,
Zach Rogers went off track.
Yeah.
Oh, Zach Rogers did, sorry.
Yeah, I think Rogers spun the tires, went off track, and lost everything. Lost a bunch of speed out of that one. So did give Beers that 9th place finish, as you mentioned. That was a good run there by Beers. Starting out in 18th place. Able to get up into that top 10 into 9th. Yeah, just going through one of the corners. Locked it up a little bit. Dumped all the speed.
That's going to limit the point gain, assuming both drivers got at least one incident, and I think that's a fair guess, to 5 points for Ryan Gabble here in half number 1. So that championship lead now is 14 points for Austin Beers, and he will have the track position advantage over Ryan Gabble here going into half number 2.
Yeah, with this 16-car invert as well. 27, my pick of the first half. We'll be starting out in P2. So feeling pretty okay with that. You know, it wasn't last.
Yeah, you know, you gotta take the wins. You gotta take the wins where you can get them sometimes when you're doing picks. That's for sure. All right, we'll wait for Vic to get up here before we do our picks, but we'll let Carlos pull up the final results here. As we mentioned, Daniel Gore wins half number 1 in front of Cameron Rich. What a battle that entire race was. James Miller kind of just ran his own race. Nothing going on in front of him, nothing going on behind him. Just a boring one, but 3rd place, a strong finish for the number 17. Gavel, Watson round out your top 5, and then Ray Bracey, Drew Eisenman, Kynan Jones, Austin Beers, and Zach Rogers bring home your top 10.
Dylan Thomas there falling to 11th, Hackthorne in 12th, Evanston 13th, Capuano. Peeler Tufts, after a couple of exploring forays into the grass, ends up in 16th place. David Westergreen there 17th. Neil Rutt, after the spin, ends up in 18th. And there's a couple of cars that resorted to the pits very early on, one of them being the 99 of Gilberto Javier Gomera, and the other one, Ty McIntosh. Yeah, that 19th place right there. So tough break for both of those two. Hope to get that bounce back going into this second half, where it is, I believe, a 36-lap feature.
Indeed it is, but before we do that, we do have our broadcaster picks to go to. Once again, they're sponsored by Binks Designs. Binks Designs is a local New Jersey graphic design company that specializes in all of your custom apparel and tumbler needs. You can check out their website at binksdesigns.myshopify.com or at the link in the description. Vic, who has pick number 1 for half number 2?
So Goody has pick number 1, and you know, unshockingly, he wants Cameron Rich.
What a shock.
Yeah. And then Trevor, unfortunately, you didn't do so hot.
Well, you know, the wheel picks for me. And my second pick that the wheel made was the 18.
He's not here.
Great. Well, I closed the thing, so how about... I've already picked the one. I'm going down the list of cars. How about the... Give me James Watson. Do I have James Watson? Can I do that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dang it. All right, so we open up the picks now.
So we the top 4 were all picks that we made. Unfortunately, mine was the worst of them, in 4th, which I don't know that that's something I should be ashamed of. So I'm going to swing for the fences in half 2 because I can now. I'm going to go for Ray Bracey in the 7 car for half 2. Cherry, who you got?
Oh boy. Who can I take? I can take the 52. I'm going to take the 52.
Right on. So the drivers, of course, you know, they finished second. So their half 2 pick, for some reason, is Caden Tufts, who starts on pole. That leaves the man of the hour, Carlos. Who you got?
Was that James Watson or James Miller that got picked?
Watson.
Yeah.
Watson. I'll take Miller there then. Give me some of that feet.
Oh, that's disgusting.
That's crazy.
All right, so those picks are made, and we've made Vic leave the call with Carlos's feet comments, so please stick around while we show you a message from our sponsor, Wigan Woodsmen.
Be sure to check out Tim Mayo Conrad and the Weekend Woodsman crew on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like button to get notifications when a new video drops, and check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Enjoy the race.
And once again, a big thank you to everything that Weekend Woodsman does for this series. Half number 2 is on its way. We're going to have to see pit stops in this one, but what's the thing that you're looking forward to the most here?
Where those pit stops happen, because we saw about how long it takes for the drivers and the tires to really start to wear off based off the level of aggressive driving we had. A 22-lap sprint in that first half. I would say probably within that first 9 to 12 laps is where you started to see a difference in the traction, and it wasn't a significant difference at that point, but it was still just enough that that's where it really started to come around. So I'm curious to see, are we going to see these drivers at that lap 10 to 13 mark start to opt for their pits and potentially make it a long run on the back half, or are we going to see more drivers taking it for the long run on the first half? Or are they going to play in hopes for cautions? I'm excited to see this pit strategy and how these drivers are going to do it.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be about how quickly you can make moves if you're one of those top 5 to 7 cars that are now starting way down in 16th through 10th area. If you can get by people in a hurry, you might want to try and extend that pit stop for as long as you can so you don't have to pass them twice. But if you're stuck behind them, there's no harm in short pitting and just trying to get the jump on them.
Alternatively, excited to see how these drivers can move through traffic. We saw Austin Beers starting in 18th there in that last one with the 16-car invert. Those drivers are going to be roughly, the ones we saw, the front runners, roughly going to be in the same position as where Beers was to maneuver past all those. But we know those 4, 5, 6 cars that are starting in the middle of the pack are all relatively equally fast, like as fast as each other. So it's not going to be so much as one car maneuvering through a bunch of cars, so as a small pack of 4 or 5 trying to weave through. And that might make things a little bit more interesting as these guys try to make their way back to the front.
And definitely you're going to want to see if we have a bit more action into turn 1 now with the slower cars in front. They want to avoid any possible damage like Gilberto did when he kissed the chain link fence there. I believe we're just about ready for the starting order for half number 2. How much longer do we have here in the warm-up, Carlos?
If you stop rushing me, then
I'm
get
sorry,
to it.
I don't have the thing in front of me tonight. So I'm just guessing. I'm sorry. So starting here on pole, we have Caden Tufts alongside Adam Peeler, Thomas Capuano, Zach Evans, and Matt Hackeford round out the top 5. And the rest of your top 10 goes Dylan Thomas, Zach Rogers, Austin Beers, Kynan Jones, and Drew Eisman. Around in the 11th and 12th, we also see Ray Bracey and James Watson.
Really love where Beers is starting on this one. Does give the opportunity to continue to accentuate his position there as the points leader. But rounding into the next page, Ryan Gavel there in 13th, James Miller 14th, Cameron Rich and Daniel Gore round out the rest of the invert. And you see David Westergreen, Neil Rutt, Ty McIntosh, and Gilberto Javier Gomera that are finishing out the cars in this pack so far for tonight. But I really will be keeping an eye on that. 19 of Austin Beers did so well that first half to put in a good performance to finish out a top 10. Is now roughly starting exactly where he finished in the last one at that halfway point, and now just pretty much has hopefully the open road in front of him to get to the front and try to hold on to it.
And the beauty right now for Austin Beers is all the cars in front of him are cars that he passed already in the last half, so he knows he can do it. It's just going to be about, can he keep those other guys behind him?
And then the question goes to who's in control of the pit strategy of doing it. Is it going to be those drivers that were running 1, 2, 3, 4 for the entire duration of the sprint? Are they going to be the ones that dictate when the pit strategies are going to come in? Or is everyone going to be looking to who that car on the front is that is going to be the one with the most speed? And theoretically, you would think, because as you mentioned, Austin Beers has already passed the 7 cars in front of him, Beers might be the one that's in control of it when that time comes.
That's an excellent point. We're also going to have to see if maybe Gavel or Gore or even Cameron Rich potentially pull the trigger early. Also have to pay attention if Cameron Rich will be able to finish this one. As Carlos mentioned, he is on call tonight for work. He made it for the first half. We'll see, fingers crossed, that he can make it through all the way in the second half, because towards the end of it, he was the only one that had anything for the 52.
And he had a lot for the 52. He's all over that back bumper, trying to make any and every line work, going high, going low, trying some crossovers, trying some dive bombs in this one, try to just force a mistake out of the car in front of him, but did not pay out on either end. We saw a couple of swaps there early on, but after that, it was just a guessing game of how are you going to try to get it done. Couldn't get it done, and now it's a matter of can you do it in traffic. Couldn't do it solo. Things get more interesting now.
Just a couple of more corners here before Caden Tufts will lead the field to green here for half number 2. Adam Peeler and Thomas Capuano, a couple of drivers that we don't usually see right at the front here for a road course. We'll see how long they can hang on. Maybe they can potentially play some spoiler here for some other drivers that were fast.
And that's also an interesting talking point of how much of blocking is going to happen out of these top 5, 10 cars that we know are slower than everybody else behind them. How much are they going to hold back the rest of the pack?
We're about to find out here. And we are green. Looks like pretty even getaway from the 27 and the 00 heading down towards turn 1. 00 is going to get in front. Caden Tufts will have control going down into turn 1. Thomas Capuano is also going to make a move for second place. We're 3 wide.
Yeah. back there in the middle of the pack where all those drivers who are running up front early on really starting to fan out there in the back, but looks like everybody gets through unscathed for the most part. We survived the first corner. Now we'll see how much longer we can survive.
James Miller and Daniel Gore side by side. Gore gets a bit loose, lucky to hang
boy.
on to that one.
Oh, there's the first 17 James
Miller.
Miller off track.
Almost gets involved with someone else there. The 7 of Ray Bracey, I believe that was.
Ends up on the windshield of Ryan Gavel, who has to check up a lot. Does slide right into position out of this and still hold on. Mostly semblance of safety for now.
And there's Kynan Jones in
The heart rate, not bad.
Yeah, you know.
It's high, but it's not bad in comparison.
I wonder how many of our viewers are actually looking at the heart rate, though.
Yeah, there's nothing else to look at really, right? That's
Yeah, that's it.
nothing
It's just
nothing
that.
weird about anything else going on. Totally normal.
We see him right now trying to make up some positions early on here. He's one of those drivers that could potentially benefit from this invert, but he's trying to find his way back into the top 10. He's going to make a double move potentially here into turn 1. Getting past Evans and Rogers. It's an attack on the Zacks instead of a Zack attack this time for Kynan. And he's going to be able to potentially complete this move going into turn 3.
Yeah, really drove it in there. Heavy on the accelerator, pretty heavy on the brakes too. Saw a little bit of wiggle with the tire lockup out of that one, but does hold and maintain position to break into the top 10. Still have James Miller in that 17 looking, trying to find the angle out of this, but Ryan's holding on for the time being.
Ryan Gavel, also the driver that's going to be desperate to try and make up as many positions as he can right now while the tires are fresh, but right now he's been pretty stagnant, sitting in 12th place. Only has gained 2 positions up to this point. Or sorry, 1 position up to this point.
Austin Beers has put up a few more spots there into the top 5 where not a whole lot of separation between those drivers. Obviously 1, 2, 3 a little bit closer together than the next 3 behind, but he's looking to continue the advancement to hold on to the overall points lead. Sitting in a pretty good position, but James Miller's not letting Kynan get away easy.
How about Thomas Capuano? He kind of just took the lead right from Caden Duffs, and he's kind of driving away a little bit here.
Building up half a second there. See Peeler starting to fall back into traffic where we see these guys up here gunning for position, 4 or 5 drivers fighting it out. Peeler's going to be the next one to get picked off, but Tufts isn't done yet. Tufts isn't giving up that lead. Gets back to the back bumper. Capuano going through these corners.
You also look at the top of your screen there. Cameron Rich is starting to make some moves. He's starting to really drive his way through the field, and Gavel's still stuck behind some drivers. So that's where Gavel might be one of those potential candidates for an undercut here, trying to just jump all these guys so he doesn't have to make the move on track.
They're caught up in traffic. Worst position to be in, trying to get by cars that are just a little bit faster than you, plus the drivers that started up front that are noticeably a second or so off pace of everybody else. So just trying to get by both at the same time is exceptionally difficult for you, but still trying to look for the opportunity to wait for the mistakes to happen, wait for the doors to open up. Capuano side by side going into the corner.
Jaden Tufts is going to take the lead going to turn 1. Well, Capuano has a chance to do
Swap it out, yep.
the crossover there, and they're side by side heading towards turn 3 now. And Capuano gets a bit loose, so Tufts is going to retake the race lead.
Little wiggle there on the accelerator. Lost out on that one. Still at top 5. Not a whole lot of separation.
The Sith Lord is laughing there when we got on the screen. That's not something you usually see from the Sith. Running right now at 16th. Lowest of the chase-off drivers at the moment. Right now, the top 5 are all chase-off drivers.
Yeah, every single one of them wanting to hold their spot as well. Because the next 5 drivers behind are all drivers that are on the outside looking in and don't really have a whole lot that they need to worry about as far as where the results show at the end of this race. But Ryan Gavel did finally get past the 73. Kynan Jones is now looking to get past Peeler and does so to crack that top 10.
Now he has 4 seconds to make up on Cameron Rich. Oh, and
when he's going down pit.
Zach Rogers, can you make it up? No, you can't. I think fuel is about 25 laps, so
Yeah.
this is an unscheduled pit stop from the 18 of Zach Rogers. Oh my, going to turn
Hello.
1. Daniel
Trying to
Gore
get
getting
three.
the elbows out, and he's going to make it work up into 4th place.
An impressive move to get through there, going to put Austin Beers in the middle lane. Try to get this one. Beers made the first move to try to find an angle on Thomas, looking for a block as well. Gore just drives it in, gets in the
wow.
door.
Beers
Beers gets
will
stuck
not be
by
a fan of
Hackathorn.
that.
Yeah, no, not at all. Just used him up.
Hopefully Beers' car is okay.
Gonna make
He's
a
right there.
pass coming back.
And yeah, he's going to get right back up towards 4th place here. So Awesome Beers keeping a cool head and just showing Daniel Gore, or beating Daniel Gore on track instead of potentially doing some funny business, which was potentially deserved for Daniel Gore driving like that against some chase-off guys at this point. But Daniel Gore, that's just where he's at right now. He doesn't have anything to lose. Can't say I would drive any differently if I were in his place. The real loser from that situation was the 4 of Matt Hackathorn. He fell all the way down to 9th place.
Miller watching this battle. Pete Cam watching the 2 in front go at it back and forth, side by side into the corner. Here's going to go up. They're in contact.
Yeah, they're using each other up right now.
Oh, yeah.
There's not a whole lot of respect right now. I think it's a bit of, you did this to me, I'm going to do this to you type deal. Miller's going to go a bit wide there, going into the grass. He's going to be able to keep it from going too far into that gravel trap, and he should be okay. But James Watson is right behind him.
Yeah, checking the rear view. You got 2 cars here for you. Watson's in a
Oh,
bumper.
and
All of a
we
sudden,
are
you're stuck
3
in the
wide.
middle. Hello.
And Dylan Thomas is going
Oh,
wide.
he's
Oh,
spinning.
we have a wreck.
The 9
I
goes
don't really-
around.
We'll have to take a look at that there. I think the 17 was a bit of a passenger at that point.
Yeah, that's a tough spot to be in right there, because I don't know how you're going to be able to... I mean, you check the rearview mirror one time, you see the 9 all over your back bumper. All of a sudden, you get split in traffic, and you have both of the 2 cars going left and right, and going into a corner. It's not that much real estate there. Collects 2 of them.
Cameron Rich has a meatball flag.
Yeah, Rich will probably have to call it quits here on the night after that. And yeah, James Watson just probably his own aggression really led to his own demise there. But James Miller, I feel like he didn't really have anywhere he could go in that situation. There wasn't enough time for him to back out. Bounce Capuano right back on the rear end of Caden Tuffs. Potentially he could be looking at a move here in a little bit. And how about Austin Beers now sitting in 3rd place?
They made that ground up, got out of the grass for the 52 for the most part, who is still lurking just behind. Half a second there, but Beers really gunning for one of these spots up front, hoping to get an angle on these. We've seen Tufts and Capuano holding on to 1-2. A couple exchanges of lead there up front, but now with Beers entering into the picture, might make things a little more interesting where Beers is going to look to control this race. Just in roughly the beginning stages of potential opportunities for early pits. Dylan Thomas, James Miller going out, going through the corners. Hello.
Contact there, and
Both of
somehow
them.
they both keep it straight.
Both loose, both keep it together. Surprising.
I guess it's a bit of a situation here where they know they're going to get another set of tires that they can potentially slide it around a bit more now, knowing that it's not going to be the end-all of their race. But Daniel Gore now looking on the outside of Austin Beers heading towards turn 1. But Beers might be looking, trying to get by Capuano. And he's going to get underneath at 21. And Gore's trying to sneak through. That's getting really tight.
Yeah, should not. We've already seen exactly what happens when you watch 2 cars try to pass one. The other 2 usually get collected at one, so got to play a little bit safer, especially with the cars here. All 1, 2, 3 in the chase-off. These 3 up here really have to be smart about this to preserve their cars, to preserve their finish. Big opportunity for Beers to go on the inside of the 21 again. Gore's just looking to follow, and I think that's Gore's best move. Just find where Beers is going and try to get in that lane. Great move by Beers, though, to cut off that 21 and not let Gore sneak in there.
Potentially some play there by Capuano, allowing his fellow chase-off driver to just get by and keep his car safe, because it's beneficial for himself as well to not have any damage there. But if you're Gore and Beers, you just need to try and get around these 2 as cleanly as you can, then you can continue your battle for the lead afterwards. James Miller also starting to get involved in this battle up in that up in that 5th position now. And Ryan Gavel has made his way by Dylan Thomas and is up in the 7th.
Yeah, real close battle here for these top 5. Even that 6th place Matt Hackathorn lurking there on the back end of this group. Gore's trying to go down low between Capuano, who's about to lose another position. If Gore can keep it straight, looks like got loose enough, the loss of speed. Capuano holds on.
Also see, as you mentioned, Hackathorn getting closer and closer with all this battling. I guess we're going to have a lot of fast cars really tight because of
There he goes.
Capuano holding them up, but Beers is going to make that move. Tufts goes way wide, so that's going to allow Capuano to take 2nd place.
I think he had some help there.
Yeah.
Did he have some help? I missed it.
It looked like Beers just pushed him all the way up. Did not give him the choice whatsoever. Made that run. Really drove it in there. Had a ton of speed going into that corner. Slide drafts off of him. And then, yeah, just forces him all the way up, out into the gravel.
Yeah, Beers decided that it was time for him to get the lead. I can't blame him. He knows that 52 is coming.
Mm-hmm.
So Austin Beers now.
Oh, Miller!
James Miller out there? Yep.
James Miller will lose some ground here. Potentially an opportunity for Ryan Gavel to make up some ground.
Yeah, starting to see those guys get here up towards the front. Ryan Gavel sitting in 7th, Dylan Thomas 8th. Tynan moved up to 9th. Still, these guys up front, they're not done. 21-0. Basically, 2 reds and 2 blue cars up here that are constantly trading positions with Hackathorn just watching front row seats, all this chaos that's unfolding in front of them.
I have a question for you, Carlos. Does Cameron Rich still have that meatball? Because I don't think I've ever seen him go into the pits.
He did go down pit road. He was in pit road for 7.4 seconds. He'll probably still need to pit one more time, but he's currently out on track 24.5 seconds back from the race lead. Chances of winning are probably gone, but if he keeps at it, I see him still getting a top 10, maybe even a top 5.
Yeah, so it must have been a really short meatball, so a bit of a lucky break there for the driver at the number 29. And now Daniel Gore is clear of Tufts and Capuano, so now he's going to set his sights on the 19 of Austin Beers, and I'll tell you who's his number 1 fan right now. That would be the one of Ryan Gavel.
Yeah, really hoping that Gore gives him everything he can handle up front. Gavel still trying to make up some ground. James Miller, the next car in his sights. We saw Miller just go off track half lap or so ago. And you see on the back end there, that red car behind James Miller hunting.
Capuano and Tufts swapping positions once again now. That battle for 3rd still raging on.
Hackathorn's entered that one as well, so now they're looking to potentially find themselves in a 2 or 3 car battle, but going to give that spot up. Hackathorn will make that pass.
Dylan Thomas also slowly working his way back up there, sitting in 8th place after he went wide earlier, which caused that wreck between, or kind of led to that wreck between the 17 and the 9 and the 29. I thought stacked up that happened.
Yeah, 10 laps in here, we're watching this 0-0. I wouldn't say the 21 as much, but Caden Tuft's really starting to lose a lot of his speed and getting picked off one at a time by these other drivers. James Miller's going to be the next one in line to do just that, waiting for the opportunity in the angle, but does not seem to have a lot of control of that vehicle. It's not doing a great job going through some of these corners, and we're seeing it.
Whoa!
As,
He almost lost it into the 17 there. That would have not been good.
And now, yeah, Ryan Gavel's up next. He's going to move right up on this one. So Caden Tuft's just slowly but surely dropping. 25 to go. We're now in this window where an early pit is absolutely plausible for these guys.
Wonder if we'll see any takers. Austin Beers right now has Daniel Gore starting to breathe down his neck a bit. It's down to 2/10 up front.
If you're in Caden Tuft's position right now where you're watching all these cars drive away from you in front, knowing your tires aren't worth anything anymore, is that worthy of the logic of maybe it's time, maybe I should pit now?
I think if you're Caden Tufts, you need to realize that you finished 16th in the last half, and these tires are going to be even worse at the end of the race than they are now. So I think for Caden, it's a situation of needing to survive for as long as he can before he absolutely has to pull that trigger, because if he pits right now, he's going to lose a lot more time at the end of the race. For me, I think the number 1 potential suitor for a short pit would be maybe the 04 or the 17 to try and make up that 2-second gap that they have right now to Austin Beers and Daniel Gore.
Yeah.
maybe even the one of Ryan Gavel.
Very interesting to see who is the first to bite on this one. Be very aptly watching that left side of the screen to see if anybody does take a pit early on here, as we're at 24 to go now. I mentioned within that fuel window, theoretically speaking. 52 though, giving Austin Beers some work here once again. Back up on that back bumper. Car length or two, depending on the corner. And Gore's not done here.
I'm just praying these two keep it clean. I'd like to see both of these race cars fighting all the way to the end.
And I'm sure Beers is very unhappy with the fact that the 52 is driving so hard against him like this one. I think reservation. If I'm Austin Beers, I might just let him go, but Austin Beers not going to let it happen.
I mean, if you're Austin Beers, you're losing 5 points by losing the lead of this race, so that's probably where his mind's at, and he just lost it. But it could have been a lot worse there. There's many opportunities for both of those cars to end up in the bin.
Yeah,
Take a look at the replay.
Out of preservation mode alone.
Near deja vu.
Oh, man.
Used him up through there and answered it right back. Took him all the way out, just like we saw the 19 do to the 52 a few laps ago.
Now Daniel Gore probably going to be set 3 at this point now that his main competition from the first half, Cameron Rich, has had some troubles early on. Now I think for the battle that we're going to see, will the one of Ryan Gavel get up to Austin Beers as this race goes on? See a move there by Kynan Jones on the inside of Ray Brazy. Caden Tufts continue to drop down now, only 1 spot away from being outside of the top 10.
Yeah, James Watson, that next car, on about a second, 1.3 seconds back from Caden Tufts there. We'll see how much off the pace Tufts is. We saw Watson spin earlier as well, so see if that had any effect on Watson's speed either, but doesn't look to be. His ground is being made up. Tufts is not doing well on his intervals right now, but Kynan Jones here looking for a move onto Ray Bracy right in front. Heart rate doing just fine, 130s, maybe 120s, yeah.
Some of the lower numbers we've seen from Kynan.
Everything's calm, cool, and collected for Kynan right now.
Up front, already pulled away by second. Ray Bracy, though.
That would make my heart rate go up watching the car in front of me go.
His went down.
Yeah.
It relaxed him. He knows now that he's going to pass him eventually if he keeps driving like that.
Only a matter of time before something gives there. Kind of pretty consistently in that 9th, 10th position we saw in that first half. Holding strong on this one for half number 2. About a third of the way through this one. Still no early takers on the pit lane yet.
We're now at the distance that the sprint race was, so all these drivers know exactly how their car is going to feel at the end of it if they were to pit now.
Yeah. And that might be the first indicator we'll see some of these drivers take advantage of that one because of how confident or the lack thereof of the cars that they had in that first sprint.
Did we just see somebody get loose when you cut to that cam?
I'm not sure.
A white car. I'm not sure.
I wouldn't be too surprised.
Looks like everything is fine on the relative, but James Miller has made a move on Matt Hackett going forward, 3rd place. 17, he's in the hunt. He's another one of those drivers that was hanging tight with Daniel Gore early on in half number 1.
Right behind him, number 1.
Ryan Gavel is the next to make a move. And he's really starting to slide.
Yeah, hugged that inside line on that corner, but is up to the back bumper of that 04. Maybe looking for an angle on the corner. See if he can get the inside line, and he does. See if he can hold it. Even clears going into the corner, so Hackathorn's going to fully give that one up. Can't cross him over going through it. Gavel maintains all that speed and maintains position. Moves up to number 4.
So Gavel now only 2 spots behind his championship rival Austin Beers. See if he can get to a spot where he's at least gaining 1 point tonight on this second half. Try and make it a bit tighter going into the final 2 weeks of the season. Zach Evans also on the backhand of James Watson right now. They're both hunting down the 00 Caden Tufts.
I was holding on to that number 10 spot pretty decently there. It looked like he was pretty off pace couple of laps to go, but it looks like it's at least flatlined to a point where Watson hasn't made up a whole lot. They've remained pretty constant at about a second apart from each other. Of course, some of those changing depending on where you're at.
Miller Pit Road.
Corners. Oh,
There's
hello.
always
There we
the
go.
first taker. So we'll see how this works out. How much is he going to make up?
That's right about the window you were talking about. That third, fourth place. Those drivers that are just a couple of seconds back from the lead.
We'll see how much it works out. Oh, we got Neil Rutt
Someone
sideways there on the
sideways,
front
yeah.
straightaway. Yeah, and also it looks like Tyler McIntosh is also going to join us in the pits there.
Oh, time.
That looked a bit intense entering the pits.
It looked like he was gonna wreck.
Yeah, that was a really tight cut into his box, but everything's okay. He'll get service on the number 95 there. So James Miller is where we're gonna have to see when this pit cycle completes. Neil Rutt off track here. Neil Rutt, man. Well, he's having a rough night. So 30 seconds right now is the gap. And it's about, what, 3.5 seconds to Daniel Gore before he pit. So we'll see where that ends up once Daniel Gore decides to pit.
We'll see how long it takes him to get there, too.
Yeah, we'll see. Will Daniel Gore just now at this point just run it out and keep extending that gap to Austin Beers, or is he going to react to somebody pitting from third place? Well, it looks like it's not going to be a reaction this time. He's staying out.
Ryan Jones.
Ryan Jones is the next taker. James Watson as well.
Yep. Good move for Watson. Probably had a lot of wear and tear on those tires after going around in an incident. Finding there sitting around that top 10.
We are one lap away from halfway, so for any drivers that are looking at splitting this right in half, this is the time. Neil Rutt's also joining us in the pits. He was having an adventure, a choose your own adventure lap that last time around. Oh, Dylan Thomas going right through the gravel.
Huh. That did not solicit a black flag, or a firm black flag.
Okay, well maybe I just haven't driven this track in forever, because I remember always getting annoyed in that corner. Barely touching the gravel, but maybe iRacing patched it.
Now a strategic shortcut. Totally counts.
I mean, if race control's not going to do anything about it, I guess
Leader pit road.
Now we're seeing Daniel Gore. Daniel Gore's going to go to the pits to see if Beers and Gavel react to that as well. Beers does,
Yep.
and Gavel does as well.
10-1, you send them all. Hackathorn stays out.
Hackathorn's going to try and get a point for a lap led. He will. I guess that's the other thing that we haven't really thought about. Beers has that extra point because he's on a lap tonight. Gavel does not have that.
Oh.
Whole lot of takers here on this iteration. The leaders go down and everybody else follows. That's where we start to see where we mentioned 17 was the first one to go. Interval's the one to watch by the time it all comes around. So still looking at those three up front that have yet to go. Hackathorn, Bracey, and Thomas. Everybody else now looking for position. And theoretically, they're one-stop shop to finish this out.
Yeah, Daniel Gore comes out, and he is behind James Miller now. So we'll see.
Seconds, yeah.
So he gained about 4 seconds overall. Or actually more than that, now that Gore's taking time to get his tires intact. About 6 seconds overall, James Miller gained. So that was just, what, 2 laps? So that's how much tires really mean at this track. And Matt Hackathorn is about to pull in here. So race leader is going to pull in. We'll see if Ray Bracey stays out to lead a lap. Dylan Thomas is going to pull in as well. So it'll just be Ray Bracey out of your top 10 as yet to pit at this point.
Take it all the way around and on the full reset there with the last 16 laps to go. Everybody here now fighting for position. You see 6 drivers straight that are going to be the ones looking for some angle. Get these playoff points, move themselves up a little bit. Of course, you mentioned only a couple points at a time. Austin Beers, I think right now is 25-point lead, maybe.
So because he had a 19 going in, he lost 5 to Gavel up last time, right? Or was it 6? No, it was 5. So it's down to 14, and now he's going to gain 2 on him because he's 1 spot ahead and he's led a lap. So I'm pretty sure how that works goes because he's currently going to have a 16-point lead if I'm doing my math correctly in the live standings. Don't quote me on it, but it's around 15 to 16 points right now for Austin Beers. So he's lost a little bit tonight, but still a very healthy lead.
There's still 17 laps to go to continue. Try to make up a little more ground, make up a couple more positions out of that one to help you out.
The pit stops have done him well. He's now within a second of Daniel Gore, so that spot might be available. Let's see Adam Peeler go wide there in front of Zach Evans.
Yeah, that was what, 2.8, 3.0, somewhere in there.
It was a pretty big lead there for Daniel Gore, but right now the big lead is for James Miller. It's almost 4 seconds.
Yeah, 17. You mentioned those tires really made a huge difference between the swing of the early pit to where you are now. Driving his own race, got to play it smart, play it smooth, don't do anything too crazy. You know everybody behind is going to be really gunning for spots, especially with what we've seen develop out of the relationship between the 52 and the 19. As soon as those guys get anywhere near each other, which will not be much longer now, things might get a little dicey.
Yeah, the race fan in me is kind of hoping that James Miller gets caught and he just holds them all up and we have a 4-car little battle there at the end. We'll see how it plays out. Lots of action happening right now as the pit cycle is officially completed. Ray Bracey's going to come out right in between James Watson and Caden Tufts. That's for 10th place.
Pretty close up there between 6th and 7th, kind of Jones, Thomas Capuano as well. These guys pretty close to each other. A few seconds off. Imagine bumper to bumper on that one. See them going through the corners. Right behind Hackthorn.
Has 16 laps to try and hang on to this one. Lost about 3/10 that last time, but if he can afford to lose 3/10 for every lap, it would be sitting pretty. Getting caught with about 4 laps to go, but catching and passing are not the same thing.
We saw how difficult it was to pass a single car there in that first half, where it took 6, 7, 8 laps even just to try to find an angle, driving all over the place. Good defense, good blocking in that first half between leaders up front, but you said catching and passing, 2 totally different things. Even with Miller holding on to just over a 3-second lead out of this one, you know that as soon as Gore gets there, Beers is not far behind, and that's going to make things just that much more interesting if things start to get that much more exciting between those drivers up front. And with Ryan Gavel only a couple seconds back there, some hard driving between a couple of cars driving through traffic. Ryan Gavel could very easily enter himself into that conversation.
Yeah, if I'm Ryan Gavel right now, I'm not in a huge hurry to try and catch these 2 in front of me. I'm just going to let them potentially use each other up. Maybe I'll have a bit more tire at the end of this race. Maybe that's when I can make my move. That gap up front now is down to 2.5 seconds, so Daniel Gore is closing in a hurry. 14 laps to go this time.
Almost got a whole second on that one. We just continue to do, and we've seen Gore very heavy on the accelerator. Just not afraid of driving hard into these corners and using up these tires while you got them. Try to make up that lost ground.
See how aggressive James Miller gets on defense. Another one of those drivers that's not in the chase-off, so he's only here really for wins at this point, so he's going to want to hang on to it.
And I like the strategy that Gore has right now. If I am in that position, knowing Austin Beers has a fast car behind me, I'm driving as hard as I can to get to the front to put another car between me and the 19, so that way there's that much more of a challenge that Austin Beers has to get up to the front, but to challenge me for a win. So I love what Gore's doing here to try to get there. And Austin Beers, I mean, at that point, wondering how hard you're going to drive it in to try to keep up with the 52, knowing just as well that you have Ryan Gavel behind you.
Yeah, Ryan Gavel, he's not really been making as much progress as I thought he would on James Miller, even if he is saving tires. He's actually losing time this lap overall. So Gavel might just not have enough to really get involved in this potential 3-car fight for the lead, but we'll see how it plays out. See David Westergreen just in front of them. Hopefully he just gets out of the way in a safe manner for these top 3. I imagine he will. Dylan Thomas making a move on, I believe that is Kynan Jones going into turn 1 here. He backs out of it. We have a 3-car battle there between Capuano, Jones, and Thomas. That's your battle for 6th place at the moment. Jones
a
almost
nose
gets
under.
on the inside.
Yeah. Right, a nose under Capuano right there. Couldn't quite get it, so let's just slide on this one. But Dylan Thomas, I think, probably just going to let this one play out in front of him before he tries anything too exciting, or just look for an opportunity to pick off the 73 solo. But wouldn't want to try to force anything 3 wide, because I think we're 0 for 2 so far in 3 wide passing.
And it has not been a successful move thus far tonight. Kynan Jones, he's getting a bit creative with the track limits there. He wants to make this move, especially since he has Dylan Thomas and James Watson and Ray Bracey all right behind him. They would all like to make a move on him as well.
A little bit of a space here through these corners. Bracey is all over the back bumper of Watson right now. Trying to find some edge out of this one through the grass, trying to take it wide, but loses a little bit too much speed going around. Dylan Thomas still trying to find a way to get around the 73 here on the stretch. Going to dive low, try to find the angle, and hold on to this going in, but doesn't have the speed, can't get there.
Gap at the front now is down to 2nd and 2/10, so Gore really making progress quickly now. James Miller took a while to get by David Westergreen, who just cleared him. See how well Daniel Gore is able to handle the lap traffic.
Lurking roughly at the same pace of catching up to Miller is Austin Beers and Ryan Gavel. They're both slowly but surely gaining up on that 17 car. So knowing that they're all roughly running same pace as the 52, there is that interval between them and Gore in 2nd place, but Miller right now is the one that is being targeted by everybody else.
You see there, Gore gaining a 10th that last time by, and Beers gaining 2/10, so very similar. Now actually this past lap, Beers gains half a second, while
Wow.
Gore only gains 2/10. So did Gore go out a bit too quick there, and now maybe his tires are paying the price?
Yeah, 'cause we saw that 2-3 lap interval where it was about a full second there for that, about 22, 23. And Beers tried to echo it, tried to mirror it, but didn't quite go as difficult. So that is the question right now. How much of those tires did Gore just use up? And is it enough to be able to hold on to this one? Does Beers have enough in the tank and on the tires still to be able to get up to the 52 and pass him? It's been, probably, I think it's been 8, 9, 10 laps now since these pits have gone through. So this is about that stage where we saw the tire wear start to kick in. The drivers start to fall off pace a little bit. They're losing a little bit of that traction. That tire wear starting to take an effect on these lap times, for sure.
They have to manage it for 10 more once James Miller gets across the line here. I believe Miller might have actually matched Gore that time. Actually, he was a 10th faster. A 10th faster than both Gore and Beers. So we do have a battle shaping up. All three of our leaders running similar lap times. Gavel has started to drop off a little bit. We saw that at the end of the sprint as well, where he was just struggling with the tires a bit more than everyone else. We'll see if Matt Hackathorn is able to catch him maybe here as we get to the end of this one.
And Thomas finally getting an angle, get inside of Kynan. Has to check up though, can't quite make the clear into the first corner. And lose a little bit of grip there as well. Might open up the door for Ray Bracey to make the pass on the 13, or at least close the gap to him, but Kynan's going to see that wiggle and drive off, and she'll hold on to that position as we watch this battle from 6th, 7th, and 8th place here on the top side. Gavel's losing a little bit of ground as well. Went from a 5-second interval from the lead down to 7.5 now almost. 5 seconds behind Austin Beers, so Gavel either conserving or is off the pace where these drivers up front, 1, 2, 3, are really driving it home.
James Miller still hanging on to about a 7.5 lead. See Kynan Jones all over the rear end of Tom's Capuano on the top.
too
Oh,
far
I
behind
think we
him.
just had, at the beginning of the front straightaway there, I thought I saw Caden Cups get turned. Maybe it was Nectode. I thought I saw a car going around there, but maybe my eyes are failing me. I have Goody's eyes all of a sudden, the old man eyes.
That's exactly what I was getting ready to talk about too. Is looking at the 00 with the 9 right behind him, pretty close. A 1-2 right there. We saw Watson had an incident earlier on. He was off the track there on the other side, just letting all these drivers go by. Tufts here holding on to this 10th place finish, trying to hold on to a top 10.
And Capuano's around now.
Yeah. Still has enough gap in between to look at watching the front of those go off, but now you're going to have 00s with Tufts and Watson. We're just talking about that are going to be right behind him. If Tufts can hold off Watson, now's an opportunity potentially to find an angle on Capuano, which is where we started this race out at the front of this one between those two.
And the gap now up front, less than a second. James Miller, I'm not sure if he made a mistake, but it dropped quite drastically in the last half lap or so. Gore is right there now. Austin Beers only 2 seconds behind as well, so just a little bit of battling and he'll be a part of that as well.
Yeah, Beers just driving his own race at this point, just making sure he plays it safe. Watson gets into the back of the 21. It looks like it might collect the 00 as well. Might have been a little push and a shove between the two of them.
Hops the hill and ends up going into that fence there.
That is not going to be good for the 00s.
Looks like he's going to be okay to continue for now. But now it's this battle up front here with 8 to go. We've been waiting for it to form, and it's finally here. Can James Miller hold off the charging number 52 of Daniel Gore?
I don't know if the question is can he do it. It's a matter of how long can he do it.
Well, it might not be long after that corner exit. Daniel Gore is going to have a run going down towards turn 1. Will James Miller play defensive? No, he sticks to the outside. Austin Beers is praying for James Miller to make a bit more of a defense here.
Gore, bumper clear.
And Daniel Gore potentially set free here unless James Miller can come back right away here in this next sequence.
He can get a run off of it if he can get in the draft, try to find something on it, stay in the accelerator, but that Ford Mustang not getting too much out of this one. Those ponies aren't running too fast as Ford really ran him down these last few laps. Take the lead out of this one.
It's this next corner that he really has to try and make a move if he wants to hang on to this, and it looks like Gore's going to be free.
Tried to stick it in there on the inside. He's holding tight on that bumper, but 52 is not going to let it happen.
And James Miller will have to relinquish the lead here. Daniel Gore, your leader, he won the sprint. Can he hang on to win the feature? And we come to 6 to go when we get to the line. And Austin Beers is still a second and almost a second and a half behind him.
Second and a half back, but is now gunning for that number 2 spot. Beers is making up time on these two up here. That pass and those attempts to drive by did slow them down at least a little bit to give Beers some opportunity to catch up here, but now it's a matter of looking at these 3 on the front stretch. Right? The 19's got one goal in mind, and that's to collect the checkered at the end of this.
Yeah, will he be able to do it is the question. He was matching Gore's laps for a little bit, but I'm just wondering now that if Gore doesn't have that 17 to worry about, 19 does, is it going to be a bit too little too late here for Austin Beers? See him really sliding though. He's giving everything he has. James Miller is still there though, to his credit. A little mistake from Gore. Miller could potentially be looking to retake that lead. We saw this. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just talking about Beers really driving in like you saw him sliding through, but these 2 up front still battling it out. Are just going to let Beers really draw him in.
We saw this in half number 1 with Gore. He would get in front of Cameron Rich, but would never really hold that gap. It almost seems like he mirror drives just a little too much. I wonder if he can really set sail here. He does have that 6/10 gap now, which may be enough for him to relax a little bit, but James Miller has a better corner there seemingly, and he's going to be able to get in the draft here on the straightaway.
That takes it down a couple of car lengths and going down the front stretch. We got all 3 cars up front within a second of each other. They all full bore to turn 1. Wait to see the checkups here, and see how much Austin Beers really leaves it on the gas going into these corners, because we know that he wants to close this gap. He wants to get to the back bumper of one of these two, get himself in the draft to get into this conversation. He's right there.
Speaking of Austin Beers, his title competitor, Ryan Gavel, right now, he may be at risk of losing position to Matt Hackathorn here in the closing laps. That gap is down to less than a second for 4th place. But Beers is going to have a chance to make a move on James Miller, because Miller is starting to lose control of his car.
Yeah, that extra 2-3 laps that Miller has on those tires starting to show as these guys are caught up to him and are trying to maneuver past. So, matter of just too little, too late. Unfortunately, these tires put yourself in this position. It's still going to be good enough. I think Miller gets a 3rd place finish out of this one at least, because as you mentioned, Ryan Gavel is not making up any time on these 3 drivers up front. It's a matter of, can Miller hold on to this number 2 slot?
Had a bit of a sideways drive through that corner there, and that's really just allowing Daniel Gore to have some breathing room.
Yeah. The opposite effect. You saw, I'm sure Austin Beers thrilled to watch the 52 and 17 battle it out for position. Now I'm sure from the other side, the 52 is ecstatic to watch Miller and Beers fighting it out here for 2nd and 3rd, while he can start to pad that lead, get himself up there to a comfortable position. As you mentioned, 4 to go. Not a whole lot of time here for Beers to get up there, but at the same time, watching your next competitor, Ryan Gavel, really fall back in position. Don't do anything too crazy. Just make sure you finish this race in a position better than the guy who's trying the most to overtake you in the point standings.
You're still all over the back end of the 17 there, and speaking of the guy that's trying to overtake you in the point standings, Hackathorn is there now with Gavel, it seems like, those last couple of shots that we've seen him, but Zach Evans trying to make a move here on Thomas Capuano. That would be for 10th place. All over his rear bumper. Looks like Capuano's had a couple of cars potentially hit that rear bumper from that one shot we saw.
Not surprised too much. Little damage there. Suggestive repositioning.
Free to go now up front for Daniel Gore.
Got a 1.2 second lead over the 17 now, with Austin Beers right on his back bumper going through some of these corners. But a lot of these drivers in the chase off, fighting for position. Hackathorn coming up on the back bumper. Ryan Gavel as well.
And
Beers does finally get past the 17. Now with 3 to go, does he have the opportunity? Does he have enough to close that last 1.2 to get to the 52?
It's gonna be interesting to see if he's really set free here, or is it just that he doesn't have enough left with those tires. He's got 2 laps pretty much here, because we just have 1 corner left in this one. It's going to be 2 qualifying laps for Austin Beers if he wants to get up to the back end of the 52.
Yeah, Beers running, I think the ticker showed a 10th second faster than, or Gore running a 10 second faster than Beers that last lap, but the 17 running 3/10 slower than Austin Beers. So being able to clear the 17, I think, is good for Austin Beers if he's going to be able to make this ground up. It's just a matter of, does he have enough time to do it? Can he get there? And I don't know. With only 2 to go,
he's around. And
well, he's not going to now.
James Miller and Austin Beers make some contact with one another.
I wonder if he locked it up and Miller just got into him.
It looked like Austin Beers lost some body parts there.
He might have been driving this one really hard into this one. It just got real loose out of this one and spun it.
Oh man, gets collected by.
Hate to say it, gentlemen, both drivers have meatball flags.
And that is horrible news for Austin Beers, because up to this point he had done an excellent job of managing that points gap that he had to Ryan Gavel. But now Gavel's going to effectively move into 2nd place, and Beers is going to drop down probably to around 13th, 14th, even if it is a short meatball.
Not ideal positioning there for Beers. Talking about it a couple laps ago. At the worst case scenario is that you end up in a situation that knocks you out, where you're not finishing better than the person who's trying to make up that lost ground in points. And now all of a sudden, with that incident going a little too hard into the corner, loses out on that one. The 52 is just scot-free running away with this.
They're staying out.
Yeah, well, guess with that meatball, with less than 3 laps to go, they are allowed to finish the race. They won't get disqualified. So Pierce is going to actually try and hang on here. He's going to give Gavel all he's got, but he goes a bit deep.
Doesn't iRacing drop you to the tail end? Don't they?
I'm not.
I think they give you a black flag. Oh, Miller!
I guess we'll have to find out here.
Wow. Miller in the gravel.
All the action no longer up in that lead. Gore has got the easiest laps that he's had the entire night here.
Yeah. Gotta run it smooth for under 1 lap to go. That's it. Take it through, play it smooth, play it clean. Good drive by the 52, be able to get up there. Good strategy of the pits, be able to hold on to it. Be able to watch everybody else around you just falter and fail, make everyone else make mistakes, drive your race. And 52 is going to walk away with the checkers.
And he's going to sweep tonight, and if iRacing does allow them to keep their positions, which I'm not sure if that's going to be a decision by race control anyways, James Miller's going to come out here in second, and Ryan Gavel, no! Gavel had a chance to gain. He's going backwards, but Beers is going to get it. So Beers ends up crisis averted. And did Hackathorn?
Hackathorn is like a lap down.
Yeah, Hackathorn was battling.
Oh, he did it again!
Hackathorn did what Ray Bracey just did, but by accident. Hackathorn, I believe, went into the trees trying to pass Ryan Gavel there on the final corner. We'll have to take a look at that one.
Yeah, curious where Hackathorn's car went, because obviously we saw what happened to Gavel, kick it in reverse, but...
Caden Tubbs just straight to Tyberry. Cameron Rich is about to kill a family.
Oh,
jeez.
Hey, the rubber, it worked. Elasticity proven.
Yeah, so Dale Gore going to come off a win, and then when it looked like Beers was going to lose points, he ends up gaining still. Unlucky there for Ryan Gavel. I'm not sure if he's just trying too hard to stay in front of Hackathorn. We'll have to try and get a look at that here in a couple moments' time. But Daniel Gore, the story tonight, really put on a great defending showcase in half number 1, and then calm, cool, and collected, made his way up to the top there. Had to get the elbows out a little bit, especially when getting by the 19 early on, but really the class of the field tonight.
Yeah, I mean, defense wins championships at that point. Sure, you're not in the chase off, but being able to really drive that well that first half did, like you said, a class act, put on a clinic of just really defending a position to put yourself in a spot where you can win that first sprint. And then going through the second half, we watched the pit strategy play out for Miller in the 17. Unfortunately, those extra few laps really just drug you down. Couldn't maintain that speed. And the 19 and the 52 is only a matter of time before they caught up. But being able to not only clear the 17 in time, be able to hold on to enough tire traction to hold on to the lead, and not even worry about what's going on behind you. Just a great showcase by the 52.
He does some donuts here. We'll get a look at the final results here in a couple of moments. See here for half number 2, so it looks like iRacing has allowed to keep James Miller and Austin Beers in second and third. Gore is your winner. Then farther down the top 5, Gavel had a chance to gain some more points tonight, but that last corner incident between him and Hackathorn drops him to 4th. Ray Bracey in 5th, Dylan Thomas 6th, Kynan Jones 7th, and then the rest of your top 10 is James Watson, Thomas Capuano, and Zach Evans.
Yeah, watching with Caden Tufts, pretty much had a lot of tire wear issues for most of the race. Ends up in that 11th, was pretty consistently in that spot. Cameron Rich there in 12th. Hackathorn, the most interesting finish out of that in 13th, technically a lap down because of that incident there coming to the last corner with the 1. So curious to see, as you mentioned, with what happened there. David Westergreen 14th, Adam Peeler number 15, Gilberto Javier Gomer in 16th. I don't know why that just came out of my mouth like that, but it did. McIntosh 17th, Neil Rutten 18th there. And then the last 2 to finish it out, Zach Rogers and Drew Eisenman. Unfortunately got taken out very early on in this one, but the most interesting thing out of all of what just happened is the number 04. Curious to see if he's still in orbit or why he dropped to 13.
Let's see if we have a 3-wide TV replay, and we do. So let's see what happens here going to the final corner between the 04 and the 1. Yeah, it looks like, Gavel was
Gavel
loose. He
lost
collected him, and
he
then
just
he's
sent
gone.
it.
He's gone. We have lost the 04 men hackathon. And also, 99 of Gilberto Javier Gamero just sitting in the sand trap there as well.
Yeah.
Horrific scenes. That's a sport ender, really.
My favorite thing is what's already happening is what's going to come out of the screenshots of this, because there's going to be so many people in the trees.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
It's already happening.
Yeah, we're looking at the OSCA Discord there. There's a picture of David Westergreen sitting on top of a tree with Ryan Gavel's red car beneath it. Fantastic. But I think we have a race winner to interview. I'm going to hand him over to you, Trevor, and then I'm going to do some math to make sure I'm correct when I talk to Austin Beers about his points lead.
Oh, thank God. I'm so glad that you're doing the math and not me, because that's
All
just
right.
not anything I want any part of. But as you mentioned, we bring in the race winner. He got the broom out this time, the 52, Daniel Gore, coming in here. And after some hard-fought battles, after some stellar defense we saw in the first half, what was the biggest difference of the strategic approach between the sprint and the feature for you?
Well, the sprint, it was just all out. I had to get ahead of Cameron. I know I raced Cameron a lot in the Tuesday series, and he raced hard. And he's a fast driver too. So I knew I had to get ahead of him at all point. And I saw he braked early lap 2, and I just took that chance, and thankfully he never got by. But in the feature, I knew it was going to be a lot different with all those cars ahead of me. So my game plan was I was going to take it easy, work my way up, hit at the halfway, and go from there. But as you saw, the 17 got by on the undercar. I wasn't expecting it to be that strong around here. He got by, and we had a good battle at the end, and yeah.
It certainly was a good battle. I mean, those front runners, the top 3 cars, really just going back and forth. And was there any point at watching your rear view that you were concerned of Austin Beers in that 19 car being able to catch you and what he might be able to do at the end of the race?
I wasn't too concerned, because I know in the first stage of that of the feature race, I was quicker than him on the long run, and as it went on and on and on, I was gaining and just pulling and pulling, and then thankfully the 17 was in between me and him, so they battled, and I didn't have a chance to look back, but I heard they had contact, so once I saw that, all my worries melted away.
From that point, roughly 10 to 14 laps to go, we saw the interval between you and James Miller in the 17 dropping down almost a whole second at a time. Was that you just really driving it home? Were you just using up every ounce of traction you had on your tires out of that one? Or was that just the 17s pitting a couple laps earlier, those tires wearing faster than yours?
I think it was a little bit of the both. I knew at the end of the race I was going to be a little bit stronger with the newer tires, but personally, a big quality of mine is I'm very good on the tires in the long run. So I knew I'd have something at the end. I didn't think it'd come as soon as it did with how far out he was, but I'm glad it came.
That car certainly looked good for you, coming away with both victories out of that one. Congratulations from me to you, at least. Cherry, do you have anything for Daniel Gore here?
I think you covered mostly about the race, but I guess my question for Daniel here is, a couple of weeks ago, you're just a fill-in for one time, and then it seems like you've been here every single week and you've been winning races. How are you enjoying it, I guess? I mean, you're coming up here, you're coming into this league, and you're competitive every single week. What has that been like for you?
I am loving it. This, all the guys I've raced here have raced with a pretty good amount of respect. And I wasn't expecting to get it back, being a newcomer and just turning up out of nowhere and taking a win here and 2 tonight and front row at Dega. It was, yeah, I mean, it's hard to really put it into words, but I love it here. This was one of the best series I think I've ever driven in.
Well, that's awesome to hear, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you more. Do you have any shout-outs you want to give here before we end our night with you?
Yes, sir. First of all, the Kennington family. I know they're watching. I love you all. Secondly, Seth Rules for letting me run the 52. I'm sure he's happy with the result, as you could probably see. And last of all, I'm gonna say Jake in the first place for getting me into this series. He was the one that I talked to about, and obviously I'm filling in for him tonight. So I just want to say thank you to them.
All right, awesome. Well, congratulations on the strong drive tonight, Daniel. We look forward to seeing more from you in the future, and have a great rest of your night.
Thank you. You too.
All
That
right,
was
gentlemen.
Oh,
Normally we interview two people. However,
I was gonna.
half one winner,
we're busy?
half two winner. Yeah, half one winner, half
Yep.
two winner. However, because feature and sprint were dominated by the same person and won by the same person, I
Yes,
wrangled
I was
us an
looking-
interview. Yep. With
I was looking to potentially talk to our points leader, if that's okay.
Yeah, do that. Do that instead.
Yeah,
and then
we can talk. Then we can talk to who I know you want to talk to.
yeah.
So just
You already
hang on
know.
a second
Yeah.
here. Yeah. All right, so we're talking to our points leader heading into the night and points leader coming out of the night. Austin Beers, if I've done my math correctly, you've done an excellent job of managing what sounded like to be the track you're the most worried about. I think you came in with a 19-point lead and you're going to leave with a 16-point lead. So talk us through your night of really just damage control.
Yeah, I just didn't get much practice this week. Just been really busy working on the real life race cars, and just kind of showed up a little late. Got in here, ran like 3 or 4 laps, and then hopped right into the race. So just trying to learn as much as I can as I went. Kind of burned the tires up in the first half. Finished 9th, I believe. Just slowly working my way forward. Knew that I'd definitely be a lot better in the second half, starting 7th, and kind of knowing where the shifts were and stuff. And even with like 10 to go, I was still learning out there. So just definitely a damage control type of race. I was driving my butt off. I was really making the pass into that left-hander before all like the middle section of the race. I was using that to my advantage pretty well, of just keeping the momentum up and kind of dive bombing into that little hairpin. But definitely was fun. Definitely was interesting that I was actually pretty good on a road course. I still hate road courses, but definitely a night we'll take.
Definitely a strong night. It really ended up being a really strong night for you in the second half there, but it almost came all apart there with that incident with James Miller there with 2 to go. But luckily, Ryan Gavel also had his issues as well, so it kind of evened out. So just talk us through those last 2 laps. What was going through your head there?
Yeah, I just I knew I had to make a move on the 17 quickly, because I was actually a little bit better than the 52 if I'd hit my marks right, which honestly wasn't often. But so I got around him in that hairpin on the left side, and then I knew that I had to really push it if I wanted to get the 52, because winning is a lot of points. So I kind of pushed there and went to turn 1, and it just started to slide, kind of wheel hopped a little bit there, and it was just a slow spin, and then I got hit in the nose, and it actually gave me a meatball. So luckily we were within 2 laps, and the meatball kind of voids off after that. You can only run, I believe, 3 laps with a meatball, so got very lucky there. And then the car was really damaged, and whatever happened to Gavel and Matt went and flew and visited the wildlife down the straightaway, and Gavel was backwards, so we ended up P3.
Yeah, so I guess a great night for your points lead. Now you have 2 tracks going forward. What are the last 2 tracks? Does anybody know? I'm not aware.
Iowa's next week.
Iowa
and Atlanta 2008.
Oh, that's right. So how are you feeling about your chances to hang on to this championship lead with those 2 tracks coming forward?
Oh, I'm feeling great, especially with Iowa. Kind of a shorter track. Really have to manage the right front. Atlanta, we're gonna have to manage the rears. So definitely gonna be a fun track where you're gonna have to manage your tires, and we're actually only turning left, so I'm pretty excited about that. Don't have to make any right-handers where I spin out. So just definitely excited going to the last 2 weeks. Hopefully we can hold on to the point championship.
And we'll be looking forward to seeing how that all plays out between you and the one of Ryan Gavel. Before we let you go here tonight, do you have any shout-outs you'd like to give?
Oh yeah, I'd like to thank Hacks Discord, Black Flag Podcast, The Joyous Seating, Troy Race Cars, Do Good Motorsports, Fenceline Films, you guys for putting on a hell of a show every week, and Vic for putting us up with us idiots.
Thank you very much, Austin, for tonight, and best of luck going forward to the final 2 weeks of the season.
Thank you guys very much.
All right, that was Austin Beers, our points leader. All right, Carlos, bring him up, talk to him.
You guys are talking to him.
Nah, this is your show. You want him up here.
This is your interview.
This is your call.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, coming up in here, the man who has easily made my day. Kynan Jones. Kynan, how you doing tonight?
Could be a little bit better. I presume we're on broadcast, so I just want to quickly apologize to Tom. I've been just driving in a bit too deep basically all night and just made a bit of contact. Well, I say a bit, but it was a bit more than a bit, unfortunately, so I will put my hand up and say that I made a mistake there.
So,
But besides that, it was fun.
Yeah. That's good. Heart rate was looking pretty good. It didn't go above like 240 or 230 is from what I saw. Doing a good job getting that in check. So I was told the story of the maid outfit before by Vic off air, but I want to give the audience a chance to hear and kind of understand why the maid outfit.
It wasn't originally going to be this at first, but just ended up happening. It was more so something I was going to look at doing next season. Have major anxiety, especially socially and with being on camera. So just over the season, I've gained the confidence and figured I've been enjoying OSCA so much, so why not do something a little bit fun for the broadcast? But this was just something that a couple other people had decided, and yeah, so there's more likely going to be either more of this or possibly something else in the future. We'll just have to wait and see.
Interesting for sure. Nathaniel, Trevor, anything you guys want to say?
I think I'm good.
I'm at a loss for words.
Yeah,
It's-
The cufflinks are my favorite part.
Your confidence is really the real winner here. So we'll
Yeah.
take it.
But it's a big step for me. I'm extremely shy and, like I said, socially, so just trying to improve myself steadily and have a bit of fun doing it.
I have a question.
Okay, go on.
I came up here specifically for this.
Are you
I
so
promise
loud?
you, you actually haven't heard this before. And it's not weird. I mean, it could be, but I don't know. Are we going to see you in any more outfits, either this season or next?
It's
You
not
just
gonna
said
be
that.
what it says.
Vic wasn't here at the time, but yeah, going into next season, once
it
there's a
gonna
little
come-
bit of
is it
fun
gonna
to get
come
more
from-
outfits.
Is it going to come from my bank account and Tim's?
I mean, the donations are open.
Oh,
That's a
yeah.
good question.
It's probably going to come from mine. I got some plans.
Oh no.
Oh gosh, you've just
It's going to
opened
be next
Pandora's
season.
box. Kynan.
Aussie shipping is terrible.
I bet, yeah.
It only took an extra like 2 weeks.
Thank you so much, Kynan. We wish you the best of luck in the next 4 races within the next 2 weeks. Before you let you go, do you have any shout outs you want to give out?
Thank you, Vic, for putting this together and OSCA together. Tim, Conrad, and Weekend Woodsmen. I know he wasn't here tonight, unfortunately, so go check them out on YouTube. The viewers for watching. Gable for murdering Hackathon on the front stretch on the final lap in the feature to give me an extra position. Dylan for not killing me all right. I know I was a bit of a roadblock, so we've had our issues in the past this season, but it was good to be able to race cleanly, even though I made my own little mistake on the final lap. But besides that, just thank you all for watching, and hopefully we can see you next week for Iowa Speedway.
That we will. Have a great rest of your night, Kynan, and we look forward to more exciting or I guess entertaining interactions in the future.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see, he says. All right, that was Kynan Jones. Yeah, we're about to wrap up here for tonight, but this is my last race of the season because I'm moving on Sunday for work, so
Ooh.
I will not be around for the next 2 weeks. So I just want to thank Vic since he's here. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I've had a blast all season. Thank you, Carlos, for putting this on, and Trevor for coming in. I know the first time he came in it was kind of like last second, so I wouldn't be alone. So I really appreciate that as well. But yeah, other than that, I guess tune in here again next week for Iowa, and then for the championship with Atlanta, you're going to have Carlos and Trevor. I believe Goody as well. You're going to have a great time, but other than that, have a great night.